Hello, this is Oba Vincent, and welcome back to Financial Freedom for the Average Person. And today we're talking about taxes. We all love our taxes. I'll say right up, I don't mind them too bad. It's something we need to do. I will say today I'm talking to you from Costa Maya, Mexico. We are on a cruise, which is something that we enjoy and do quite a bit of. Anyway, that's when you get control of your life and your finances. You can pretty much choose how you spend your money. This is one of the ways we choose. So I'm going to go over federal, state, property, local, and sales tax. I'm going to touch them all. Spend most of the time talking about the federal tax, though, because that's one of the ones that we all have to deal with. So, again, like I mentioned before, I don't mind paying taxes, but I don't want to pay too much. Probably one of those guys that overpays a bit, but that's life. One of the things I learned years ago, I found my own taxes. I do them by hand. I do not use a computer program. I had difficulty with a computer program before, so I opted not to do it. However, if you want to do it using a computer program, there are lots of them out there. Lots of them are free. There's a number of good sites that you can just do a Google search. You'll find some of these. One I was just looking at was Cash App. That one looked like a real good one. Also, Chime has one. Then all the major ones, H&R Block and all those, they all have, the TurboTax, all of those you can find free versions of. They always try to upsell you. But for most people, you can get by saying I'm fine for free. But I prefer to do it myself. I know what's on every line. I actually ran into a project manager once that was working for me, and he did it that way, and he convinced me pretty quick that it really wasn't taking me much longer, and I had a lot better control of what I knew was going on. Now, I wasn't spending a lot of time finding all the little ins and outs where I could save a buck or two. Um, I was focused on getting it done, getting it fair, and then hopefully not getting audited. The one story I love to throw out, one time when doing this, I calculated my tax and I submitted it, and the IRS came back and said I underpaid, and they said this is how much I owed. And I went back and calculated it, and I disagreed with them. And I contacted them and went through a few things, and I finally got a guy that would listen to me and recheck it. And I actually got a check and a letter of apology from the IRS. I kept that letter. Uh, Actually, I also will say though, when they gave me the money back, I thought it was a little low, but I wasn't going to push my luck. I was happy with that. So, but knock on wood, since I've been doing it myself and submitting it myself, I have not been audited in any way, and I've been doing this now way over a decade. So consider it. And it's really not that difficult, and especially now, the tax code's got much simpler. Now, experts may save you some money, and if you've got a lot of money, you might be able to take some advantage of that. I would say most people aren't in that situation, though. Oh, we're going to do exercise 15 now in the middle here. And if you go to the IRS website, you can find the 1040 form and the 1040I instructions. So the instructions are very important, and when you take them, I save them every year, and I go through, and you can go through line by line, explain everything you need to do. And if you need more additional information, there's always additional forms or additional guides that will give you some more information from the IRS. Then print out a 1040 form, not the 1040A, and complete it using your last year's date. Just kind of give you a flavor of how you do it. And then calculate your tax by hand and compare it to your previous tax form. And it's a good learning thing, and I think if you do it once, you'll find out that it's really not that difficult. You don't need to go down to Walmart or whatever and pay a person that has almost no training to do your taxes. Okay, so real quick, here is the IRS webpage, and if you go to it, irs.gov, you'll see the forms, you'll see the 1040 form there, and you'll see the instructions, and also all the schedules that you'll need. By the time you're done, uh, my tax, I think this year was a total of, I think I had 10 forms total, 10 pages total. It's gotten much, much easier. A half dozen years ago or 10 years ago, mine would probably been 40 pages. Most of them don't have a lot of numbers on them, but it was much more complicated then. So here's a look at what the instruction book looks like. And again, this will give you line by line uh, how to do it and explain things as you go through. So here's the tax form. The first part's real simple. Your name, social security number, address, and then your filing status and your dependents. Um, Again, super simple. The next section is a little more complicated. The first part is you're going to put your income in, and it's going to ask you for income from your W-2s and things like that. You'll need to send them in when you do this. And you can go through, you can see all of the different options. There's a couple of places where there will be a flag to another form and refer you to one of the schedules to fill in some of the additional information. Again, it'll walk you through in the instructions line by line. Don't get intimidated. So many people are just don't even think they or know that they can just do this themselves. Okay. Now, when you get to the back, on the bottom of the last page, you calculated your adjusted gross income. Here, you're going to figure out your credits, and you can see the standard deduction in there, what you put in, and you have the option of the standard deduction or Schedule A. I stopped using the Schedule A. The standard deduction is so high anymore that to get up enough deductions to itemize, you really have to be paying a lot of interest and things like that. And then that is a real red flag that's going to be scrutinized by the IRS. Okay, you go through that, and once you take that all off, then you go get your taxes. If your income is under 100,000, actually just go to a tax table and take the number right off there. If it's above 100,000, there's a little formula that you use, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Like I said, what I do is I keep a spreadsheet, and then all of my stuff is on the spreadsheet, and then I just cut and paste and drag it over to the PDFs, and which is what this is from on the IRS page. Once you go through your taxes and I get that all calculated, then the last part of it is you're going to put in how much you paid during the year, to them. And the bottom line, you're going to sort of tack one from the other, and you find out if you owe money, don't owe money. I'll go through it once or twice, and I'll go back and I'll start thinking, okay, what did I miss? And I'll be looking for, okay, it looks like I'm going to pay a little more than I thought I was going to this year. Did I have all my deductions in correctly? Did I make some math errors? And I go through that. And then, the refund, I mail them in, and usually it takes about 3 weeks, and my refund will appear, or I'll get some, or my money will leave my bank. So I know I've either made the payment or the money will go into the bank, which means that they have paid me. All right, state taxes. I hope that federal, and I guess one of the things, I guess before we're leaving the federal, just don't be intimidated by it. It's not that difficult. And there's no reason to pay somebody to do it. Now, and like I said, if you don't want to do it yourself on the forms, go ahead and use one of the free tax, programs and do it that way. Okay. Now, state taxes. Now, uh, with state taxes, you have to do your federal, then you'll file the state tax, unless you're in one of the 9 states that have no income tax. And I have them listed here. Now, some of them have other taxes. The one outlier, a lot of people say there's only 8, because Washington, if you have a lot of income on stocks, things like that nature, capital gains income, then they will want some money from you for that. But I live in the state of Florida. I also have a place in the state of Nevada, and I love Texas. Those are 3 great places with no state income tax. They're going to get the money other ways. And some of the states are just ridiculous. And the highest is California. You can see there 14.4 maximum percent in California. Very expensive. And and I'll talk a little bit, the reason why. The states that have the high pensions, the high incomes for state workers, the strong unions, that's where they have to generate the money to be paying the current workers and the past workers. And they didn't fund it when they signed up for giving the people the money, so they got to collect it off everybody else now. And also places where they have a lot of aging infrastructure, where you've got to go back in and maintain things. That'll drive those taxes up. Okay, local taxes. And I'm talking about income taxes here. And some municipalities, when I lived in Ohio, I hated it. Cincinnati, I throw in here as an example. You got taxed there if you worked in the city. So you couldn't vote on the tax, but you were going to pay the tax. And you can see Philadelphia, 3.79% added on top. And this is a case where you can make some decisions where you're going to live. And I'll use Dayton, Ohio as a great example. If you live in any of the towns around Dayton, Ohio, or the cities around Dayton, Ohio, they're all going to have an income tax, anywhere from 1.5, maybe up to 2.5 or 3%. But if you're in an unincorporated area, which are some of the very nice areas, then you pay no tax. Now, they do get you if you work in a city or a place that's incorporated. But if you're able to, go to the unincorporated areas, you'll avoid those taxes. Right, property taxes varies greatly by state, and one of the examples I'll use is the state of Texas. Love the state of Texas. Property taxes in Texas are very high. That's how they're making up for not having the income tax. So, you be aware of that if you're going to look and go that place. And then if you're going into new construction, lots of times the communities will have a levy on those areas. It'll be each state has a different name for it. It'll be an additional fee that you'll have to pay for maybe like 30 years to cover the infrastructure, setting it up for that new area. You can avoid that by moving into an area that's been incorporated for a long time and the services are already there and paid for, the water lines, the fire departments, things like that. Now, also, like a lot of things in life, it can be negotiable. So when the county comes out and they'll assess what your property is worth, that's how they determine what your tax is going to be on it. You can appeal that. And a lot of companies out there, if you're a homeowner, will come back and actually say, hey, we can save you $500 here a year, and all you got to do is give us half of the first year. And you can do that. Most of the time, these are one-page forms, and they are very simple to file. So just like your taxes, don't be intimidated, but be aware. Sales taxes. So again, another item that varies greatly by state, and there are a number of states that have no sales tax, and I've listed them here. And some states, again, California is the highest, 7.25% base. And then locals can add, and depending on the state and how it's set up. And some of the ones in like Louisiana, Texas, and Washington, the local jurisdictions in some of those states are over 10% of your tax. So you get hit, and you get hit, and you get hit. An interesting place is Vancouver, Washington. Okay, and it is across the border from Oregon. So I know a number of people that live there, and what they do is they pay no income tax in Washington, and they do all their shopping over in Oregon. All you have to do is cross the river. So they pay no sales tax there, so they can avoid a lot. But just some things to think about when you are deciding where you want to settle in. Okay, bottom line. do your own taxes. Don't be intimidated. You don't have to pay someone else. If you're in this course, you're smart enough to be able to do it yourself. One of the things I see a lot of people taking cash advances, and they advertise it. You come in today, we'll do your taxes, and you'll walk out with money, and and that's terrible because you're gonna lose 10 to 20 to 30% of the cash that you could have had if you hadn't done it that way. That's what they're counting on. They're going to give you basically a loan at a high percentage of interest for a few weeks while and then the money will come in and they will take the percentage. And then choose wisely when you decide to live somewhere. It's pretty simple. Take a look at things and adjust that. And like I mentioned before, the taxes fund important services and legacy agreements. So, the federal is paying for your military, it's paying for uh, all the federal workers and all the different agencies, but and especially in the state areas, that money that's collected is going to the pensions of the school teachers, of the firefighters, and that they have negotiated very lucrative agreements. Um, and some states, I won't say it's worth it or not. It's not untypical that a teacher retires at 50 and is getting 80% of their retirement for the rest of their life. May be worth it, may be a decision, but the states haven't planned to fund that. And then they have to come up with the money somewhere. So, so that's it. So, good luck on doing your taxes, and we will be back with our next topic shortly.